All right, so this is for anyone who would have missed Thursday the 17th. Like I said, I kind of put in the notes, I would highly recommend that you watch this. This is just so you kind of understand basically how an interactive notebook is really going to work throughout our semester. So down here, when you go into our Canvas page, you'll see our modules. Here's week 2. When you click on week 2 assignments, it's going to take you to what we're doing for the week. Like I said, you always have two options. You can stay in here and scroll down, or you can always click up here in like this little gray tab, and it's just going to make this page bigger. So I'm going to do that just because it's going to be a little bit easier. But when you go down to Thursday, you're going to see tons of orange tabs here. It's going to seem really overwhelming, which is why I wanted to kind of go through it so that way you understand what it is that you'll need to do and what not to do. So the how to complete an interactive notebook, when you click here, this little PowerPoint's going to pull up. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is to write your name on the first page of the notebook. And it's really not for anything other than your name, so that way if you lose it, we're looking for it, whatever it may be, we can open it and like, hey, this is Jill's, or hey, this is Julian's, or whatever it may be. But do write your name and then your period. I know some of you had gotten your notebooks already and had written your who discovered American notes in there. You can keep them, you can get rid of them, it's up to you, but either name, make sure that your name is in big letters. Then you're going to open to the third page or the first right. So when you first open like your notebook cover, you'll have just the one page. When you turn it, you'll then have a left and then you'll have a right page. And we're going to start with the right page for this class. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to take notes. If you're somebody who hates Cornell notes, that's fine. We're going to take Cornell notes as an example, but do know that you won't have to take Cornell notes again after today if you don't want to. But like I said, you're going to go onto the right-hand page. And when you do that with notes, the first thing you want to do is you always want to add a title. So we are actually going to be reading an article, which is called How One Man Convinced 200 KKK Members to Give Up Their Robes. And his name is Daryl Davis. He's a really fascinating guy, but he essentially is a black man who randomly came across a member of the Ku Klux Klan. And after that initial interaction, it kind of sparked his interest, and he started meeting more and more members of the Ku Klux Klan. So the title of the article is the title of your notes. Now, I know it's a really long title, so if you want to reduce it, you can. You could put How One Man Convinced ... You can condense the name of the article however you would like to do it. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to add an essential question. Based on the title alone, what were maybe some initial questions that you would have? And I kind of provided a couple for you. You can use one of them, or you can come up with one on your own. But one would be, why would someone befriend the KKK? If you don't know, the Ku Klux Klan is a white supremacist group. They're not exactly the most friendly of people. How could someone convince a KKK member to not be a racist? And who would want to take on the task of talking to KKK members? Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and open up the article. And when you go back to here, again, you're going to see the orange tabs. When you click here where it says How One Man Convinced 200 KKK Members to Give Up Their Robes, the article is going to pop up and it's going to look like this. In total, it's in 6 pages, but you'll notice that the writing is really big. If I were to condense this, it might end up being like a page and a half. When you go through the article, and I'm not going to have the bookmarks ready for you guys today, but I will have them ready for you next week. You want to follow this marking the text guide, which you'll see right here. And really what it is that when you're reading an article or annotating, you want to follow these 5 guidelines. So the first one would be to number the paragraphs. The second would be to circle key terms. This just means things that you think stand out or words that you think people should know. The third would be to underline claims and relevant information. The fourth would be to write down questions and connections in the margins. And the fifth one would be to put a cloud around words you don't know. This one here is optional. So kind of going through step 1, the first paragraph will be Daryl Davis is a blues musician. The second one will be he says once the friendship blossoms, so on and so forth. So once you're done reading the article and taking notes on it, we as a class would then go ahead and take notes. And I'm going to have an example here of what those notes actually look like. And you can tell that the article is 6 pages, but the notes that we as a class take, which is going to be on the board here, are very short. And this is really how you should take notes, is you really want to just sort of condense the information and take the main ideas. When I do PowerPoints and things, they're as much of a guideline for me as to what it is that I should talk about, rather than you need to write down every single word. So like my advice to you is to write down key things, listen to what it is that I'm saying, and pretty much you'll be good to go. But don't feel like you have to write down every single word that you see in a PowerPoint. This is like my blurb for the year. I know kids still do it. They worry that they're going to miss something, but do know that whenever you read something or you're listening to a lecture, whatever it may be, your notes should just be that, notes, not writing down every single thing that you see on a board or every single thing that you hear. You really want to try to pull the main idea. So I then kind of go over the how to take notes PowerPoint. And again, when you go back there, you'll see this how to take notes thing here. So I want to go back over that again. But most of you guys, when you take notes, they look something like this, where there's just a bunch of bullet points. You haven't really done anything with it, so on and so forth. Notes like this will not earn you full points. So I do grade your notes. They're always going to be out of 10 points. Most assignments for our notebook checks will be out of 10 points. But if your notes just look like this and you do nothing with them, it's going to be half credit always. What I'm looking for are interactions with your notes. And the reason I want you guys to interact with your notes is because you learn better doing that. You're more likely to retain information. So like I said, Cornell Notes is an example of how to interact with your notes. But again, you certainly don't have to do Cornell Notes. There are several different ways you can do interactions. You can do questions. You can do summaries. You can draw pictures. You can do annotations. You can highlight key terms or main ideas. If there's something that I didn't mention, you can do that as well. So my advice would be to do what works for you. So like I'm very much a visual learner, so like drawing pictures for me would really be effective. And I'm also somebody who really likes summaries. If I read a book before and I were to read like a paragraph summary, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's what it's about, or this happened. So those two things will work for me. If those don't work for you, don't do them. If you're like, I really like to highlight key terms and I like to annotate, then do that. If you love Cornell Notes because they were drilled into you since the third grade and that's how you want to take notes, feel free. It's totally and completely up to you. So again, some examples of interactions. This here is Cornell Notes, which we as a class would have done. It's also in that example that I have here. On the right-hand side here, we have questions in the margin and then annotations. So again, this just might be like little tidbits that came up from the article. If I was lecturing, it might be little tidbits that, aren't on the screen, but are things that I am saying. Another example would be pictures and a summary. Again, this is my favorite way of taking notes, but certainly not something that you have to do. But in order to get 10 out of 10 on your notes, you do have to have two types of interactions, and that's two different types. So if you draw two pictures, you're not going to get full points. It would be a 7 out of 10. But if you did like pictures and questions, that would totally work. So again, if you take notes and do absolutely nothing with them, they are 5 out of 10 points. If you were to do one type of interaction, that would be 7 out of 10 points. Again, if you were to just write a summary, that would be 7 out of 10 points. But if you were to draw pictures and do a summary, that would be 10 out of 10 points. And again, that's going to be the expectation throughout the entire school year when it comes to notes, that you're making a point to interact with them. Sometimes I'll have fill-in notes. Those notes as well, you will need to interact with. And I always tell you guys ahead of time, or remind you, hey, do know that you have to interact with them in order to get full credit. So that's kind of the first piece. We'll actually go back to here. So the second thing that we're going to do is I'm going to give you a worksheet, and you're going to watch this TED Talk that Daryl Davis, who is the subject of the article, did a couple of years ago. And he talks a little bit more in depth as to why he ends up visiting with clan members. And when it comes to our worksheets and things like that, they're always going to go on the left-hand side of your notebook. So notes always go on the right-hand side of your notebook. Worksheets, for making storyboards, you're doing a DBQ, whatever it may be, those are always going to go on the left-hand side of your notebook. And those are going to get glued in. I'd prefer that you do that to stapling or taping. So when you go here, you're going to see two things for the TED Talk. You're going to see why is a black man attending KKK rallies. When you click that, this little worksheet's going to pop up. You'll notice that the questions just repeat, so you just need to do half of it, right? I just do this for when I print it. I cut them in half, and I give each of you a half sheet. But again, I don't expect you to write this twice. You just need to do half of it. And then the other thing that you're going to see is why I, the black man, attend KKK rallies TED Talk. When you click there, it's going to take you to a YouTube link. And the TED Talk that you're going to be watching will go with those questions as well. And the questions are in order. So once you watch the TED Talk, you will be able to answer all 7 of those questions. Now, when we look at my notebook checklist, these are sort of the things that you need to be aware of that we're going to do for every notebook. And our first notebook check is going to be due on Friday, August 25th. and you'll have the whole period to get your notebook check done. It's certainly not going to take that long, but it's really just so I can check everybody's and, hey, this is what we're doing, we're good to go, so on and so forth. So again, all notes must be taken on the right-hand side of your notebook. And again, you can take notes however you choose, but they must have two types of interactions with them. Cornell Notes was an example that we did as a class, but again, you can do whatever it is that you prefer. All classwork, homework, worksheets, etc. will be on the left-hand side of your notebook. Things that you need to make sure that everything needs to have a title. So if you don't title your notes, I'm going to take off a point. If your worksheet already has a title, you're good to go. Just leave it as is. Any worksheets or items you may have forgotten to record in your notebook needs to be glued in. If items are not glued in, you will lose points, or I will refuse to grade your notebook until you do so. Now, I do have you guys submit your notebooks through Canvas, but I will do random notebook checks. So if I notice that your notebook's not put together, you haven't been gluing things in, whatever it may be, we're kind of refuse to grade your note for future notebooks until you take care of your notebook. But again, whenever you do notebook checks, I always try to give you guys at least 20 to 30 minutes to get those put together, interact with your notes, whatever it may be. So there really isn't an excuse as to why your notebooks really aren't put together. Only glue in one sheet for each side of paper. Multiple sheets glued in on the same side of the paper will lose points. Let's say if I gave you two worksheets, you don't want to glue them in on the same page. We glue one on one left side, flip your paper, and glue one on the other left side. Notebooks will be graded every 2 weeks. The amount of points each notebook check is worth will vary depending on how many notes and assignments are being graded. All notebook checks will be submitted through Canvas. Students will have class time to prepare notebooks and submit to Canvas. If students do not finish their notebook check in class, they will have until 11:59 p.m. that night to submit it to Canvas for full credit. Anything turned in past the 11:59 p.m. deadline is automatically late and will not receive full points. So again, let's just say you go to the football game at school on a Friday night and you're having fun with your friends and you guys go to In-N-Out after, and then you get home and you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I did not turn in Miss Toller's notebook check. Get it turned in that Saturday. It will be late. I take 10 points off the bat, but get it in as soon as possible. You can definitely still earn points. The longer you wait, though, the more points I do take off. So again, let's say, it's November 1st and you realize you never turned in notebook check 1 that was due August 25th. Your notebook check won't be worth more than half credit. But again, if you're a day late, I just take off 10 points. So do be aware of that. And when it comes to submitting to Canvas, we will go over that next Friday when we turn in our first notebook check. So this is really kind of the big piece of my notebook checks. Although I only grade the notebooks every 2 weeks, you are expected to work on your assignments during class. A new assignment will likely be given every class period. However, if you use your class time wisely, you will finish the assignment in class and never have homework. Since I've had an issue with students not working on assignments during class because it quote-unquote wasn't due, I will be instituting a stamp policy. At the end of class, I will be going around stamping classwork at the end of the period for students who were using class time wisely. If a student did not finish the assignment but was using class time wisely to get an assignment done, they will receive extra time to complete the assignment and will still receive a stamp the following school day. If students do not receive a stamp, it's because they were wasting class time or did not complete the assignment in a timely manner. That student will lose points on the assignment when I grade it with a notebook check. So I want to clarify this a little bit more. Pretty much all of your assignments in our notebook checks are always going to be worth 10 points. So, the notes that you take on the article are going to be worth 10 points. The worksheet that you're going to complete here is also going to be worth 10 points. The assignment that you're going to do on Friday, which is doing a U.S. map, is going to be worth 10 points. I will come around and stamp these on Friday because we won't have time on Thursday. But because we're doing this as a class, everyone should have these questions answered when it comes to Thursday. Or when it comes to Friday, excuse me. So as long as you use your class time wisely and get things done, I will stamp this, which means that this is worth full points. So again, as long as you were here Thursday, you were paying attention, you were doing what it was that you're supposed to do, you answered all 7 questions, I will stamp it for full credit. But let's just say you were super bored and you decided that you weren't going to watch the TED Talk and you put your head down and you took a nap, and I come around on Friday and I'm stamping assignments and this is not complete. I will not stamp your worksheet, which means that when you do submit it with the notebook check, if it is finished, it's only going to be worth half points. It's 5 points instead. So the stamping is really to say, hey, you did this correctly. It's worth full points. You are good to go. Now you might be wondering, okay, what if I made a mistake? What if something's wrong? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to fix it. So again, I come by and I might be like, Oh my God, Ricky, you totally forgot to answer number 6. He's like, oh crap, let me answer that real quick. Right, he'll take care of it. We're good to go. I'm going to stamp it for you. But again, let's just say you just didn't do the worksheet whatsoever. I'm not going to stamp it for you. If you were absent, you have as many days as you were absent to make up that assignment. So let's say I was gone one day, you then have one day to make up that assignment. And if it needs to be stamped, you need to get that stamped as well. You cannot wait a week to get that assignment stamped. So again, let's say you miss this Thursday, the 17th, and you need to get this worksheet here stamped, and you wait until Friday, the 25th. I am not going to stamp it. It's only going to be worth half credit. But let's say you come on Monday morning, you're like, hey, Miss Toller, I wasn't here on last Thursday. I need this stamped. Boom, I will go ahead and stamp it for you as long as it's complete. And again, that's how our notebook checks are going to work throughout the year. And if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask me in class. But again, as long as you watch this lecture here, a lot of this should be really, hopefully, easy to understand.